This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel, and you're listening to the original movie prop collecting podcast. And we are proud to say, brought to you by Heritage Auctions, HA.com in
It was
Dallas,
a squeaker
Texas. Yeah, it was a squeaker. It was of some debate, but Heritage Auctions, and they are building and building and building, and the whole top of our season will be all about their big Hollywood entertainment auction, July 16th to 18th, 2025, including on July 15th, the day before, the big Cecil B. DeMille auction. So really, it's the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th of July.
4 days.
4 days. 5
sessions.
sessions. That's right. 4 days, 5 sessions. Down in Dallas, you can go. The catalog is live. The bidding is live. There is going to be, I know, in Los Angeles, California, you're going to be able to go and see all the stuff. And we're going to start, we're going to go, there'll be a viewing period there. You can reach out to them about any questions. And also, we're going to go there. We're going to shoot some videos. So please check those out on our YouTube channel. And we will have lots of heritage content on the big 4-day auction.
Fantastic.
So
Dave,
yes.
are you gonna handle my my tombstone pistol and play 6-shooters with it and talk about how great it is?
Accidentally drop it, and then if someone says anything to me, I'm gonna bullwhip them. Buffalo them. Sorry. Yeah.
Very good.
I'm gonna buffalo them, and then I'm gonna run out with it. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to seeing it. I hadn't seen it myself in many years. So
yeah. You may get me in a rush, but not before I turn your head into a canoe. I love that one.
But I'm looking forward to sort of seeing everything. And basically, our next couple of episodes, we will be going through the catalogs. We will have live episodes coming up. Plus, for example, there's session 1 of the auction, which is the morning session of July 16th, is the Bob Peak collection. We're hoping to be speaking with Tom Peak, the artist's son, who is in charge of the collection now, and things like that. So we've got lots of excitement, plus all our usual stuff coming up this season. We've got a deep dive coming up. Our last one was so good. Our last deep dive on Han Solo guns that Studio Auctions sold themselves to Golden. They were so excited by how well the Studio Auctions, Golden Auctions team up for the Han Solo gun went, that it was such a success that they decided to permanently get in bed together. So that's very exciting. So we can look forward to other great auctions like the Han Solo gun, which it's pretty funny. Just it's rare. Well, I guess maybe it's not rare, but it is so funny how they've just scraped it from the earth. Do you know what I mean? It's like they hired some sort of black ops team to come in and try and remove it from the internet. It's like it didn't happen. Yeah.
It's the internet ultimate nullifier. Has been fired. Yeah.
Really, really funny of we're excited, and by the way, look, benefit of the doubt, we'll check out everything they do. We'll talk to you about what they do, but it's just sort of that didn't happen. That there was no Han Solo gun. What Han Solo gun? I don't even know who Han Solo is. I've never seen Star Wars.
That old thing.
Yeah. No,
Here,
just literally
look at my
Han
hoverboard.
What? Han
check
what?
Out this cool.
Yeah.
Check out this cool hoverboard.
Yeah. So that was very, very funny. And
I feel like a lot's happened since we signed off.
Yeah,
we loved getting all of your notes and letters and people pleading with us not to go dark forever, which we do appreciate. And you're very sweet, and we do have this really fervent kind of hardcore audience that we really do appreciate it. We're not going Patreon for now. We did get sponsorship. We're sort of trying to plan these seasons around auctions, and we feel like there are enough auctions now that go on regularly enough that we can kind of probably mark our seasons by an auction, and then we're sort of in the process of working out hopefully what is a long-term sustainable solution to our just it's very simply what we talked about last time, just meeting the costs of producing this podcast. Neither Dave nor I is looking to get rich off of this or really make any money at all. We just want it to be a solar panel. We want it to be self-sustaining. and maybe put a little sun energy back into the grid from time to time.
We
really
wouldn't mind it if they had to buy our solar energy back and we did get rich, but
True.
We're prepared not to. Yeah.
True. I do hear, Dave, after our excellent Han Solo Blaster deep dive episode, that Golden Auctions is considering acquiring us.
to erase that episode, to make that episode just that. I mean, at some point I thought about erasing the podcast episode just because I wanted to help them make sure it all gone away. Yeah,
That's all part of the plan.
Just boy, oh boy, oh boy. The one thing that will be interesting is I believe Golden Auctions is owned or partially owned by eBay, and I don't know if that means that they're trying to. I don't know. The natural connecting the dots would be beyond obviously their regular auctions would be to have some sort of official release on eBay. I don't know if that's part of their plan or if that's part of their acquisition or why not. But I guess it's something to keep an eye on. The other thing that has been sort of funny, I don't know wherever this fits in, is Planet Hollywood, which obviously has had numerous auctions with their name on it. Obviously, last year they had a huge auction with Heritage. They recently consigned stuff to one of Heritage's competitors. They themselves have been putting stuff up on the Planet Hollywood, sort of like these mini auctions, for like a couple of dadays. And that's been kind of
almost like a direct sale kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, they do have buy it now items, but then they also have like a you need to bid on it kind of situation. And I don't know, maybe they were doing it from before that, but I certainly am, for whatever reason, I'm paying more attention to it. Definitely odds and ends. I mean, you get lucky if it's something you're interested in, but I have yet to see something that I want to bid on. But again, it's just sort of interesting that, after some, certain number of years of kind of quietly, I guess, now they're a little more, I guess, open about their sales, wherever that fits in. So that's something I had noticed recently in sort of the what's new in the world of props, as opposed to what's new specifically in our world of props.
In our world.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, before we get going tonight, I was looking for a whiskey to bring out because I hadn't done whiskey time in a while, because we've been doing a lot of these on Sunday night and I shoot early on Monday morning, so I didn't feel like guzzling whiskey. But tonight is Friday night, baby, so it's whiskey time. So I was digging and I found this one. I thought I had to bring this along because I don't think we've poured this yet on the podcast. But check out the name of that whiskey.
And who made that?
This is part of the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. You can kind of see their little fancy. This is one of their vaults bottles, so they're fancier. They're old bottles, so the black labels, and you can see this is a 31-year-old. The number right there. This is called The Stuff That Dreams Are Made Of, and the code on the distillery. So this is an independent bottler. So they do these bottlings. As outturn one, I think it's 240, and right there is the distillery code. So the first number, 53, is the secret number for the distillery, and then the 431 means that this is the 431st bottling or casking that they've done. So this is a single cask, single malt, single cask. So it's all one cask from this one distillery. 53 is Colilla from Islay, which is the island off of western Scotland. So this is going to be a smoky one. And I bought this, frankly, just because of the title of it. I loved it, and it was just a nice little amount of kismet. So I'm gonna.
Does the flavor live up to the great name? Or
yeah, it does. It's very smoky. So this is a really coastal smoky kind of classic Islay. So it's very. It's not even that it was 85 degrees here in London today. This is a good cold weather whiskey. This is a good November rain evening whiskey.
Put your air conditioning on really really high.
Yeah, it is.
Get it down to 66 and just be like, ooh,
and then ooh, I need to warm up
here. I
here.
could use a hearty soup and a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, some fish soup. Yeah, but this is a good one. I haven't had this in a while.
So perhaps we could co-brand with them to sell our viewers more bottles of that. Yeah, is that bottle are you drinking a prop? Are you drinking I can't bid on that. I just drank that bottle.
No, well, it's open, so you can't really
Right.
sell it. But no, this is only a couple. I mean, this came out in the last 2-3 years or so.
Gotcha.
I mean, I told you when I got it. So, I mean, sure, I guess over time, but no, I've told you, I don't buy my whiskey to look at it. I buy it to drink it. This definitely was bought to be consumed.
If
But it's a
you
good one.
bought like two of them, if you had bought two of them and
Yeah.
sort of, I don't know, kind of like Lego sets, build one, hold on to
Yeah.
one, like whatever. Like, is it the kind of thing that does go up in value? Like, would someone pay you more, like maybe not today, but like in 10 years, or probably
It's
not?
possible. It sort of goes by distillery. So actually, like Kurosawa and Chichibu and Hanyu, those distilleries that Kelvin is very into, the Japanese distilleries,
Right.
particularly the silent ones. So like Hanyu, Kurosawa, and then there's this other one, Miyagikyo, which hasn't done a society bottling in forever, but they used to. They have a code. Those bottles are some of the most highly sought after in the secondary collector market because they are cask strength, single cask. They were selected for being, that was the society picked that of the litter to be the best one that they wanted to either finish aging or whatever before they bottled it. So those are those really collectible distilleries. This Whiskey Society version of their stuff is very highly in demand. So that'll go for very big, sometimes much bigger numbers than the sort of typical distillery bottling with their branding and labeling on it. It just sort of depends. But Kalila, they're still around. They make, 431. They've done a lot of caskings for the society. I doubt that this one would move that much over time.
This is going to make those whiskey guys who keep wanting us to come on their podcast so angry right now. They're probably just sitting there going like, "Fuck,
we do
we owe them." I know. We
Sorry,
owe them
guys.
something.
Yeah.
By the way, a fascinating
Sponsor a
article.
season of our podcast.
Yeah. The fascinating article that I believe I sent you from the New York Times about whiskey fraud, not perhaps that bottle, but sort of, what can you say? Especially dumb Americans and whatnot, sort of blind buying like bottles without a lot of particular proof from people that don't either have the casks that they claim they're selling, or they aren't what they say they are, et cetera.
That's
et cetera.
what's going on is like you buy, I'm involved in a couple of these sort of cask aging projects with Kelvin, and you buy into these things and you sit there for 10 years and the thing sits off site and you get samples. It ultimately is, we're in good hands because, we did our research.
Like everything else, there are real Han Solo guns and there are fake ones. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. Oddly, this whiskey place also had a Hero Han Solo blaster.
Oh, you should just buy it sight unseen without any question.
Yeah.
No.
But that's what they've been doing is selling you vaporware, essentially casks that don't exist. And you have a share in it. They send you bullshit samples, and then when it comes to bottling it, they say they went out of business or whatever, and you're out your few £1,000s or whatever you invested into the cask.
It is funny in the various
because it's a 15-year Ponzi scheme.
Right.
Like you're not going to find out for 15 years because you're going to age the whiskey.
I was going to say, in these various hobbies, it's so funny, and you can, they're all different. They're all very different. And I know that like a lot of people be like, I'm not into whiskey. Or by the way, people that don't listen to this podcast because it's sort of like, well, I collect this, but I don't collect movie props. And the thing that's really interesting is I think all collecting is the same. I think we are all dealing with the same cast of characters. Like each collecting world has the same kind of people in it, the good and the bad, the annoying and the super annoying and the really, 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 really annoying. It has the same, maybe not the exact same crimes, but they have the same kind of money comes into the hobby. It causes various forms of crime, faking things, whatnot, etc. And there are, arcs to this. The hobbies are the same, like the same sort of ups and downs and stories, which I find sort of very fascinating. There was did you ever watch that documentary or read the book? Or it originally, I think, started with an article, I think in the New Yorker, about the wine guy who was faking all the wine, who was like getting like collecting old bottles and old corks and just like, and like kind of almost destroyed the market, like to the point where people, like he gave bottles away, he sold bottles privately, where certain older wines, like no one even like no one's even sure, like, is this real or not? Like, and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
to loop back around to last season's topic, but back to
He
that.
actually moved on. He moved on to Mandalorian helmets now. I heard, Dave.
Yeah,
So he's out of the
this
wine business.
I was talking the other day with someone, and I'm not sure this is ever going to happen, but I was talking about the fact that, like, the damage from a piece like that Han Solo gun, or these like shitty fake helmets and some of the shitty fake Marvel stuff is, and unfortunately we're dealing with a press that doesn't actually care. So obviously so this is great, we're going to write you about it. Oh, it turned out it was fake or it didn't sell. Oh, we're not going to write about that. But you do wonder, does it come a time where, like, you mentioned you were selling your Tombstone gun, and I'll just simply say, like, had there been a fake gun from another Western movie, so that when your Tombstone gun, which is real, comes around, that because of the fake, yours doesn't sell, people question it. Newspapers, or whatever, magazines, the internet won't write about it because they got burned in the past. Again, this is all an extrapolation of things, but it just goes back to the whole way it disappeared, that I'm still bothered with it. These many months later, it is still bothering me, and I think I wish the hobby were cleaner, and obviously, here we are. We'll keep doing our best, but I don't know. It's still on my mind. Anyway,
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
months later. Yeah. Um. Oh. Any new personal? I mean, we sort of talking a little bit about the state of the world. Do you have a what's new in props yourself?
Yeah, I
personally?
mean, a bit. This is a bit of probably a season tease, and then maybe a kind of over the next 6 months or whatever of seasons of podcasting. We are, and you've known this, Dave, but we're building a house, and we've sort of gotten close enough to the end of House of the Dragon. We know kind of when we're done, outdate, all that sort of stuff, and it was time to sort of start planning for what's next. I mean, we live in a lovely house here, but it's a rental. We've been sort of, in transit really for 5+ years now. And it's going to be another couple of years before we are. So it's very early stages. It's still under construction. We bought sort of we bought a spec house that had not yet been spec'd, essentially. So we got in on the ground floor. We got in the plans mode, like right before the demo happened. So we were able to
Does that mean you're in a community, be it gated or not? Or
No.
no, it was just a
No,
spec
it's not
house.
an HOA.
Someone was
Yeah.
just building a spec house. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, he builds around this neighborhood
Yeah,
and
no worries,
whatever. And so it's a totally custom home and all that. It's really nice. I mean, it's by far going to be the nicest place we ever lived, which is very exciting, and it's very cool. And I've never been able to do this before. Our first house was a project, and then we've lived in sort of London rentals, so you can't really do much to them. So this we really got in, and we were kind of, not stuck with, but we were kind of limited to the kind of footprint of the place, because anything that had to have the builder go back to the city and get new approvals and whatever, all the thing had been engineered and designed. So it was ready to go, which meant that you had already saved a year and a half on the timeline. Because it was the demo was ready, and here we go, it's all approved. But we did move a bunch of stuff sort of around inside the house, the things that he doesn't need to have permitted and things like that. And this is not kitchen talk here, but it is I am building a movie theater, a home theater, a cinema room, and a prop room, a display room, sort of as kind of, a shared unit kind of thing. And it's very early days, but those designs and the thinking around that has begun. And I just thought it'd be interesting to sort of fold that into the podcast as we go on, and kind of talk about that. What's it like designing a collection room from the ground up, and how do you go about it? And what have I learned in sort of years and years of trying to display the stuff with different methodologies, and how did I land on what I want to do? So I'm just going to tease it for now, because I feel like I need more kind of stuff to show before we can really talk about it. But I think as this goes on, we can have some people on, the lovely woman who's helping us with the design of the house, who delightfully told me that she had never drawn a Batwing in CAD before, which I really enjoyed, as she was trying to like lay out the room in such a way.
Does she have a button to make the walls yellow? Is that
she did not. She did
control
not.
Y? No,
she did not. But she took the dimensions from Brandon Allinger kindly furnished the dimensions of the Batwing, and she took those and drew the Batwing in AutoCAD and placed it in the room. So I was just delighted by all that. But yeah, she's really excited about it. She's never done anything like a display room like this, so she's excited about the lighting and the enclosures and all figuring all that stuff out, and she has some really great plans. She's a brilliant designer, so I'm just really interested to see what she does. I'm really trying to elevate it and make it as much of a kind of a home museum setting as I possibly can. And then the theater is a sort of different thing, but sort of similar idea. I have experts that I found through Bill Hunt, a former guest, Digital Bits, his very favorite home theater people called the Screening Room there, and we'll plug them because I think at some point it'd be fascinating to have one or two of those guys on to just talk about their process. But it's very cool. It's just like sort of little boy's dream, kind of coming together, movie theater and toy room and all that, and it's like I said, it's early days, but it'll be fun to sort of update that as we go go forward.
Do you envision a world where all of your props, and I guess I'll simply say a lot, your art that kind of goes with your props, your movie art, like the Conan over your shoulder right now, do you envision all of that living in the one room?
Yes.
Or do you envision, so there's no world where, I'm making this up, where, and again, I understand maybe like the Kirk away uniform, but there wouldn't ever be a gun, a puppet, a mask, or something in another room.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe as the collectionist, man, I'm really trying to future-proof this. I mean, I have a very nice, a humbling amount of space for somebody that does what we do, but I also look at it, and I'm not building a museum. It's in a house. It's in a house that I occupy with 2 children and a wife who's very patient. So it is limited in terms of space. So I'm trying to future-proof it as much as possible so that I can. I'm not making buying decisions based on, I don't have room to display that. So yes, I think over time, to answer your question, Dave, things could move out into the house. Certainly the Hocus Pocus book, which is a kind of a beloved, that's not a great example because that doesn't live in this room because my family loves it. So it's out in the kind of living room, but I could see other things like that have that kind of appeal cachet that's not a sword or a gun or something that's gonna like be weird, maybe sitting in a main space somewhere at some point at some time. And then my office, which would be a separate space, that's gonna have all the Colony, House of the Dragon, Rampage stuff that I've managed
the more
to
personal stuff
kind of collect over the years. The stuff that's like my job stuff will be in that room, so that'll be more of a a shrine to my work thus far, I guess.
No, just
my stuffed dreams are made of swag too.
Certainly no wrong answer. I was just more curious. As we're also in the middle of sort of an endless renovation that feels like the biggest mistake I've ever made. But and some of it is the LA and the fire and all of it of where I just don't know really what to do or what not. But also, in the current iteration, I'm not sure I'm particularly gonna have a lot of stuff. Anyway, I have no good answer, and I don't know what the answer is. I think the answer is to build a house in some other state like you're doing, but basically, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's sort of vaguely on my mind as the good news. One of the things that I did manage. I
mean, you would want all your stuff together, right?
In a perfect world, ideally, I'd like to sort of have all of my stuff together. I mean, I'm aware, at the condo, along with all the stuff, there's also a tremendous amount of books. There's that just probably, I don't know, maybe at this point there's no point to some of the books. I mean, some of the stuff, and I love it, but I mean, I am aware that like I don't really look at it that much anymore, which is like, I have all of this like comic reprint stuff because back in
Yeah.
the day, as a comic art collector, you'd get, you'd get the phone call, like, or the, an email or whatever it was, or by the way, once upon a time, a fax of like, are you, there's a page from this Batman book, issue whatever, and, page this, and the first panel is Batman lighting a candle. And you had to kind of go like, oh, okay, that's a Neil Adams. I've got two different Neil Adams collections. They've only made two Neil Adams collections. Let's see, is it in there? Okay, it's in there. I can look this page up. Ooh, I want this page. And nowadays, by hook or by crook, you can probably download either legally or illegally the whatever it is you're looking for and the image. Some of these comics, I mean, I read a lot of it, if not most of it. Some of it originally, some of it like not until it came out in book form. But just like I don't even know, like, is it worth keeping all of those books? I can tell you my dreams of like the kids deciding to read through it all. I don't think that's ever coming true. So there's just so much books and stuff. I finally had, just in the grand scheme of my collection, I had one of the guys from Hakes came out and basically took a whole bunch of stuff, like just really like a bunch of boxes from me. But it was interesting. There was so much stuff. I mean, not so much stuff, but there was stuff that they wouldn't take, that it was sort of too new. You know what I mean? Like there's toys that I have from like the late 90s that are not quite ready for Hakes auctions. And I realize I have like basically a storage room full of just like 90s toys, Batman animated, Superman animated, like just all of this stuff. And the quest continues to kind of get rid of storage units and whatnot, and kind of just figure like, and all of this stuff, I just, when it does, just, it leaves me, and it's wonderful. It knocks something off a bill somewhere. Do you know what I mean? It's all just sort of like, I don't want to say it's found, it's not found money, but there's still so much clutter in my world that it's hard to imagine it all being one place or another anyway. But I was curious just what your philosophy was in terms of where stuff will go in the house, because I will not have a collection room. I mean, I'll have an office in whatever our new version of things is, and I will put some things in there, I guess, maybe not. But I don't really feel like I want stuff in the living room, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
I just
and
don't.
then you have to look at, you have to like, every time somebody comes over, you have to like, put an eye on the thing.
My kids are certainly older, where I'm not worried about them, in quite the same way, like coming home and they've colored it or something of that nature. No. But you know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's just not something I really want to particularly worry about, number one. And number two, again, this is a strange thing to say. We're recording this in relatively early June, but I'm very curious. Come like next winter here, like, are we just going to have fire redux? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it every year now? Which is a whole other topic. I don't, not for us, but yeah, you just everybody's sort of back to their world, and everybody, and in some cases people are rebuilding houses that burned down and all this kind of stuff, and more power to them. But the real question I guess I have that no one wants to talk about is, are we rebuilding houses? Are we rebuilding neighborhoods, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? And it's just, fires are coming again, and we just have to hope that it's not that windy that night. Anyway. Well, that's depressing. So anyway, sorry.
Well, no, I think these are all existential concerns that face every collector in a way, and I was just curious. I mean, we've talked a bit about it offline. You have sent over some tantalizing photos, and I've also heard from visitors that the condo collection has moved along quite a bit. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that you can actually come and sit down and then if we want to go look at something, there's sort of an organized way of looking. That is very much happening. And therefore, along with that, some of the cataloging has been able to exist and whatnot. But it is a funny thing. Like, I'll just be like, oh, in this drawer, and then this drawer, and then this drawer, and I'll open up a drawer, and I was looking at this the other day, and I open up a drawer, and it's just like I have these incredible. It's sort of a drawer of like superhero related stuff, and so there's like flat Mego boxes, and there's like really cool store displays.
What does that mean? Flat Mego boxes.
So
like
the Migos were like
uncut?
the 8-inch like superhero figures of my youth that I think were probably gone by the time you got around. But it was they were fantastic, and they had the license. I think it's like was the first and only time they had DC and Marvel. So they made a whole bunch of really cool DC ones, and they made a whole bunch of really cool Marvel ones, including like Marvel properties. Like there's a Conan the Barbarian figure, like Mego figure. Yeah. It's pretty good looking too. It's
I'm listening.
Not bad looking. Yeah.
How much does one of those cost?
I think that one I want to say in my mind.
MIB, mint in box.
I don't honestly know the price, but not terrible. I mean,
really?
Obviously, mint in box is always. I'll send you one. I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah, you have one, of course, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. These were the figures. These predated Star Wars, so these were really for me my first real like obsession, and they had some
Action
really
figure.
great they had some great vehicles and play sets that went along with it.
And where did you buy these things when you were a kid?
The big department store in New York that had the best sort of like daily toy shop, I guess, was Alexander's, which used to be near Bloomingdale's in New York City, down on like 59th Street on the east side.
I think we had an Alexander's in.
It was a pretty big
in New Jersey. I think we had one.
It did. Yeah, I don't know who ultimately bought them and when they went out of business, but I think they made it to like the early 80s. I could be wrong about that. They were definitely, as a department store, they were considered. It was still a huge department store, by the way. I mean, it was a huge, physical presence in New York City, but it definitely was cheaper than Bloomingdale's. It was more friendly price-wise than Bloomingdale's. Yeah. But they had a great toy department, and I bought Migos there. I remember buying, I have a clear memory of buying fist-fighting Batman, which was sort of a Batman with like a button on its back that kind of made the arms go like this. They did all the Migos, and then they did fist-fighting ones of like Batman, Robin, and a couple of the Batman villains, but only those were fist-fighting. It was really great. And then later on, that became sort of, Star Wars Central as well. But anyway, I have these incredible store displays for circa late 70s, early 80s, I don't know, it'll have been superhero themed, I don't know, like a Topps Trapper Keeper or something, or Mead, like superhero notebooks.
Yeah.
But the store display is fabulous because it's this big cardboard 3-foot thing, that's just big and superhero-y, and it really looks great. You don't even 100% know what it's selling. It just looks great. And I bought these things when they kind of came my way. And again, I don't even know what I was envisioning. I guess I was envisioning endless wall space. I mean, I don't even, I don't even know how I could ever, if I kicked everybody out of my house, you know what I mean? If I lived in a, I guess that's the ultimate goal. I have to drive everybody out. There's just no world where even if you
you've been doing your best by
I've tried. They won't leave. They won't leave.
Mego store displays.
Yeah. But it's just these things that just they really do need wall space. And I don't know. This is going to sound silly, but as I am on the sort of on the back end of my century, I'm on the other side of 50. Where are these walls coming from? Do you know what I mean? So. It's just a little bit of that. And I've done a good job with things like movie posters, where I'm down to the couple of real essentials. I try not to buy them. I got rid of again, not all, but most of my Mondo posters. I've gotten rid of
as have I. Yeah, I got rid of most
of my Star Wars posters. I kept.
Yes, I've done the same.
I kept good ones. I have a wonderful. I have a like a birthday cake poster signed by Harrison Ford. I love that. One of these days, I should try and see if I can get Mark Hamill to sign it or something. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, I've gotten rid of these things, and there's still no wall room for them. I know these are variations of things we've talked about on the show, but there is just so much more to get rid of. It's sort of, and it was wild only because, like I said, I gave a bunch of stuff to Hakes. I dropped some stuff off with Heritage. I dropped some stuff off with Heritage competitors. And it is certainly better, but in a weird way, when it does get better, it cleared the way for me to see how much stuff there is, if that makes sense. It's almost like it was like, oh,
how much stuff you didn't see.
We cleared all those boulders only to find the entrance to the cave full of stuff. You know what I mean? That's kind of where things are. And like I said, the 90s toys, the stuff that God bless them, Hakes just, I guess not yet. Maybe another couple of years they'll start to be interested in it. And by the way, it was an interesting thing. Like Hakes, they sort of specialize. These days it's a lot of they have toys and they have comics, but when their original sort of claim to fame, they kind of came to prominence with like a lot of like the premiums from like the 30s and 40s, like serial premiums and like superhero rings and all of that kind of stuff. And that was their bread and butter, and they still have them now, but it's, those collectors are dying off. I mean, maybe there's still people, obviously there are still people collecting, but the stuff that used to be Hakes isn't what Hakes is now. They're really doing a lot more high-end Star Wars toy stuff in general, even some comic art now along with comic books, and less of, I don't know, like the Superman cereal ring from 1938, because there's just, those people don't exist. And it is that thing of like, I guess thinking a little bit about, I don't know if there's a way of having an overall topic to what we're talking about, is, keeping the stuff you want to keep because you genuinely do like it, but also being aware of like, you do want to not miss the point. And I do think Star Wars, for example, is different than, say, a superhero ring. And we've had this discussion, a serial ring from 1938, but maybe not all the comic art is, and maybe not all the other props are. And I think yours is probably the same too. You know what I mean? Where, I don't know. I'm not trying to be depressive in any way, shape, or form, but it's sort of like the progress has resulted almost in more like, ay. So that's very much where I am in the process.
But the apartment is looking much better.
Yes,
You're making real actual
it has
progress.
Become really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely become a place that I am now sort of much more able to invite and have guests, even though ironically I don't want to invite anyone over. So
but you could.
But I could now. I don't have the built-in quite excuse of, oh, it's just really not built for people and whatever. That was a really good excuse for a really long time. And now it's just, no, I do not want you coming over. So
but it's prompted more honesty from you. It's just these are good
so
moves
much
all
better
around.
for everybody.
Yeah. So, as we kind of get into the sort of tail end of this welcome back episode, I was just thinking about, what are you thinking about? It's not that it's a new year, but it's we're at the halfway point of 2025. Like, what are the things that are you're thinking about as a collector as we, move into the tail end of the year? Is there anything you're hunting, even if you can't be specific yet? That sort of stuff.
Well, obviously it's interesting because we sort of have this big heritage auction in front of us that has a couple of pieces that I am interested in. And then there's more auctions to come, of which, Heritage has I don't think we're allowed to sort of say what some of it is quite yet, but they have a crazy giant fall coming, and I don't know what's in those auctions, but I am very curious. One of them, I guess we saw a flash on a screen, right? That you sent me that grab, right? That was, you took that off their website, right? So that's, I guess semi-public knowledge, which is, for example, I guess coming this fall. Is that what it said, or did it date it?
I think it was right around Halloween. Yeah.
Okay, so somewhere around October, Heritage will be auctioning off the Stuart Berkowitz collection. Stuart, I didn't pretend to know him well, was a wonderful collector who sadly passed away, I guess a little bit after the Greg Jean auction, which was the last time I spoke to him. And among other things, his big claim to fame was he was a huge 60s Batman collector, and really had the best collection I've ever seen of 60s Batman. Full costumes, all sorts of stuff. And I was speaking to him during the Jean auction, and I may have talked about this during the Jean auction, but maybe not named him. I was trying to get a couple of pieces for my bat belt, which I had. That was something he was missing. He did not have a bat belt. He had been trying to get mine. And now, of course, when the Greg Jean auction happened, there were, I can't remember if it was three or four bat belts. Yeah, three.
That's who had them all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think he maybe ended up with two of them. Like, one for his costume and maybe an extra one. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow.
Again, I can't swear to this. And then if you remember, there were all the other accoutrements that went on the belt.
Yeah, the gadgets.
Yes, exactly. The gadgets, the various batarangs. There were like 4 or 5 of those and whatnot. And so,
you
Stuart
got a batarang, right?
I did, because Stuart and I spoke, and I said, look, I want this batarang and I want the bat cuffs, and I will stay away off. If you stay off of those, I won't bid on any of the other stuff. So I won't, you won't have me to worry about if you can stay off of these. And it worked out fantastic. And it is just a funny thing. And I guess this is the life of an auction now, whereas in the old days, and again, not to turn this into, the Yacht Collectors Anonymous, in the old days, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole here, but like when a huge prop was $20,000, the notion of a $20,000 expenditure today and the possibility of a $20,000 expenditure in October were pretty okay in the world of, my life as a single person living in LA
writing Seinfeld
in a condo I owned. Yeah, writing. Yeah, exactly. Or I think, writing Seinfeld or whatever, being under my first deal or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. And now, I don't know what the Batman stuff is going to go for. I don't even know what my appetite is for.
Yeah.
And by the way, Stuart had wonderful other television stuff. So I know I don't know if everything is being sold by the family or whatnot. He had Honeymooner stuff in his collection. I mean, just like really cool stuff. Again,
I want 60s Batman.
Yeah. So
I'm into that.
Yeah, I don't know where any of this stuff fits in. I obviously don't know what any of it would or wouldn't cost, but it's certainly not going to. In my mind, they are not insignificant purchases, and we have definitely reached the sort of point where, look, we've talked about this. You and I both spent good money at the beginning of the year, and now here we are, kind of at the midway point of the year. And everything is a bit more of a calculation. And that's just truth. I mean, I don't know how else to do it. And unfortunately, in the world that I'm collecting, and I don't think this is a huge spoiler, the first thing I did when I got the Heritage catalog, and we'll get to those sections, is I turned to the Star Wars stuff. And for me, and again, I'm talking only for me, but I was just thrilled that there was nothing I had to have. I mean, I know we've talked about that idea before, but like, it is a little bit of like, how do we get to 2026? You know what I mean? And unfortunately, knowing about the Stuart Berkowitz collection and a couple other collections that are coming down the pike, I'm not sure we do get to 2026. And so that becomes a perpetual part of the calculation, where the being able to get rid of stuff is not only, I think, good and healthy, but also, again, it's a little bit about looping back to, and I think we'll talk more about this when we go through the catalog, but you put a really wonderful prop that you like, which is the Tombstone gun, in the Heritage auction. I can't remember which session it is in, but it's, T for Tombstone. So it's
session
probably
4.
Session 4. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's more by date. It's more by film release date. It's a
that's right,
90s movie.
chronologically,
So, yeah.
So that's on the final Friday of
last
the
day.
auction, right, which is great. But the larger point is that is a direct line of the other things you've purchased and things that are coming up. It is a direct connection, not a I don't like
just having to
Tombstone.
No, and curating my collection and like what fits and what doing all that, and just like I mean, as crazy as 2024 was with the Gene collection, and at least paying for it, because I think that happened in 2023, but it was like paying for the Gene collection, and then all the things that followed. I Batwing, Han Solo jacket, it's Ghost Track. It was pretty nuts, Dave.
Yeah.
So it's just and also like again, I'm no longer dealing with as you did, the fantasy of infinite wall space. I now know exactly what I'm designing to. And again, it is a huge amount of linear space, but it is not infinite. And I really do have to think about what's gonna go in there and live in there in a permanent way when I'm done.
And you have a much better handle than I do, and kudos to you, of like, for example, and it's certainly never say never, but what's the easiest way of putting this? Like, for example, with Star Wars, you're very disciplined about the pieces you have. And I'm not saying you're never going to get another Star Wars piece, but at the moment, you're pretty content with what you have put together. It's not never say never, but you're not looking at the various, forgive me, random guns and odds and ends of like sort of, pieces that I probably am still looking at, because I don't know, I mean, rightly or wrongly, I still like some of the little stuff. I just do, and there are pieces in my collection I'm not sure you'd have ever bought to begin with, whether I am getting rid of them or not. So for example, like I was staring at, I think I've told you this, I can show pictures. I have the makeup prosthetics that I believe came out of a Phil Tippett auction a long time ago. They are the Emperor prosthetics for the Empire Emperor. So it's the original version of the Emperor.
Oh, awesome. Woman.
Yeah, that was like voiced by a guy, but I think played by a woman. It was like it was a whole to do. Clive Revel, I think is the name of the voice. And anyway, I have those pieces. And when you
awesome.
When you see them, they are the Emperor. But also when they sit there next to some of the other stuff, I don't know, maybe they are expendable, and maybe I intellectually know that they're expendable. Like I don't necessarily need them, and maybe that's something to use to help either pay off the next thing or whatever it is. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's not a piece I think you ever buy in any world. That's just, I don't think you do. No. You admire it, you can look at it, but you don't buy it. And I think if you were sitting with me in my place, you would kind of go, maybe that Emperor makeup could go. Not that it isn't cool that it's there, but it could go. And I'm sort of very much wrestling with those kinds of pieces where I like them perhaps more than I should, but that is where the world is. But
well, you have these things and you get attached to them. As the longer you have it, the more sort of permanent it is in a way. I mean, I know that feeling, but
it is that
also,
thing of
like once you
but
let
like
it
I
go,
said, looking down the back end of this year, there's just so much more to come, and the numbers are not getting better. Yeah.
Yes, that will be discussed in the
ad nauseum
in the future.
And I guess that is honestly as this sort of whatever season starts or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
But really, this entire back end of the year is, I've already spent, what if you told me 5 years ago, I've already spent in the first half of the year a number that I couldn't have imagined spending at all, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So here we sit. And that is the challenge of the modern collector is how to keep sort of collecting when the things you want have really gone beyond you and
keep active.
Yeah, exactly. And it speaks to, look, if I never got another piece, if I just said forgive me, closing the lid, do you know what I mean? Like we're done. A, I'd be pretty darn happy, and B, I think I have a pretty nice collection. Not that that's necessarily the point, but I'd be very proud of it.
One of the finest collections in the world.
And I could sit there and really enjoy it, but I'm not I'm not dumb enough to not admit, some of the fun is getting the new pieces and adding to the collection,
Yeah, of
making the
course.
collection better. And, I
That's
can
the
think
sickness.
yeah, no, I guess so. And I can think of, 10 things, again, one or two I know about, and then 8 of them in other people's collections that I don't even think they're necessarily letting go of. But if they ever let go of, I'd really, really want. And maybe of those 8, maybe I shouldn't want 2 of them, but I could still get to 6 where it's like, God, wouldn't that look good in my place? But do I need it? Of course not. Anyway,
No.
this is what I'm wrestling with. But it is a funny, I don't know, I feel like in other years, the big spend has been more in the back end of the year, which, by the way, I realize affects the beginning of the next year. But in my fake sort of every December 31st is a washing of sins of sorts. Somehow having spent money in the beginning of the year, the rest of the year feels odd, as opposed to spending it, I guess, in October or November. Anyway, it's all nonsense.
It's all nonsense.
It's all fake rules we tell ourselves. The
Yeah.
money is the money is the money. But yeah,
It's all just
yeah.
It's all just hurting your children, no matter when you spend it.
Well, they'll get rid of it. They'll hopefully things will be okay. I mean, I guess the one great thing about Andor is people like Star Wars again. So hopefully that helps with things. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Star Wars is pretty evergreen. I think Star Wars is Wizard of Oz status, where it's just people continue to watch it through the generations. You didn't have to see it in the theater growing up to care about Ruby Slippers. It's very unlikely the person who brought the Ruby Slippers saw Wizard of Oz in the theater, or saw it in its second run,
or maybe has even watched it recently. By the way, maybe the idea of the Ruby Slippers. By the way, speaking of Star Wars in the theater, you went to that BFI screening, yes?
I did. Yes, it was incredible. Good segue.
What is it? The 100th?
Yes.
It was the 100th anniversary or something of the BFI or something like that, or
90th.
90th. Okay.
90th. Yeah, 90 years. So I guess 2035. But this is their film festival. They do it every year. It was I don't know why they picked Star Wars, because it's not it's the 48th anniversary of Star Wars. So, the 50th for Star Wars is coming up, obviously, in 2027, which will be a big deal. And
50th of Jaws right now. I mean, talking about
is this year.
it's 50th of Jaws. There's going to be a huge exhibit at the Academy Museum. There's an exhibit that's opening, I think, this month, on Martha's Vineyard, of which I've been trying to figure out if I can find any way to go see that. It just seems like it'd be kind of interesting. And a lot of 50th anniversary screenings, including on July 5th here in LA, Jaws at the Hollywood Bowl with the orchestra playing. So I'll be at that one if anyone goes and sees that. And a lot of cool. By the way, don't need any of it, but
don't say hi, because Dave hates people, as he disclosed earlier. But
you say
might
hi,
see him,
but you're not allowed to get invited to the condo. But a lot of merchandise too. I mean, of which I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure I need any of it. It's like, this is my problem. My problem is like I'm staring at the Fantastic Four Galactus popcorn bucket going, boy, I really should get that. It's really great looking. And where the fuck and what would I do with that if I got it? I mean, what the fuck do I need a Galactus popcorn bucket with light up eyes? But it's really great looking. There's a Jaws popcorn bucket too. I had a Jaws mug. Did I ever tell you about this mug? It was my absolute favorite mug that I bought at Universal Studios as a kid, in the 80s. And basically the mug was basically a giant shark's mouth, open mouth, and then there was a stirrer that was a yellow plastic diver. So it was a diver. And when I moved to LA in 1995 from New York, and basically I didn't hire movers. I just kind of took my stuff. I didn't have a lot of furniture, I had more stuff, and I just kind of took it all to a mailbox store and had them pack it and ship it. And everything arrived absolutely perfect and fine. except that mug, which kind of cracked and whatever. And so
smashed.
I know one day there'll be another that Jaws mug, or I got to be able to find that on eBay. But anyway, like Universal Studios Park has like all this cool looking Jaws. Anyway, sorry, I went down the Jaws path. Anyway, how was the screening?
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's great. The screening was incredible. So it was a BFI Technicolor print. It was I forget what the designation, but it was a Technicolor print, which makes it different than the Kodak Eastman prints that have been in the U.S.
That's
which
what I
degrade
own.
much
It's
faster.
what do they call it? An
Yeah.
IB Tech print, I believe, is what they call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is not as prone to fading and whatever else. So it's 35 millimeter. It's an original print from 1977. The original the listing originally said 1978. So pre-Empire. They said last night when they announced it was a 1977 print, struck in 77. So in theory, during the first runs of the film. And it had been in BFI's possession since then. It had only been run a handful of times since. They had their finest projectionists, the duo of projectionists working the thing to make sure everything went smoothly. And Kathy Kennedy was there. She came out and spoke to the audience and got actually a pretty warm welcome because she authorized this.
She allowed it
happening.
to happen. Yes.
Correct, because we know that George is very particular about anybody seeing the thing that made him world famous and very rich.
Well, I think I think this was sorry, really quick after we stopped recording. I went here in LA to the TCM festival, TMC, the movie channel, TCM. I don't know.
TCM.
Which is TCM.
Yeah, Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah, Turner Classic Movies. I went to their
TMC is the old movie channel.
Right,
now
that's just gone. Right, that's
that
just
used
gone.
to be on
Okay.
your cable system.
Right, TCM. So I went to the, I guess, opening night screening interview with Ben Mankiewicz talking with George Lucas about Empire, and then a screening of Empire, which I was invited to. And I was super excited, and George Lucas, I guess, was in town for Coppola's AFI thing. So interestingly enough, even though we were there for Empire, they talked a lot about sort of George's start in the industry with Coppola and sort of Coppola's godfathering of Lucas and their friendship and sort of how that relationship, whatever. There was actually very little Empire talk. At the very end, Mankiewicz was kind of like, I got to ask you something about Yoda, just was like, they kind of got it back to that. It was really fascinating in terms of Lucas's own personal history. Again, not a lot about the screening, the film. And then of course the film was the special edition, which is the least mucked with
Least offensive.
of the three
Yeah.
special editions. Very enjoyable, but still the special edition. But it was a blast and a half to see it on at the Chinese big screen and all that kind of
giant
stuff.
screen and all
Had
that.
Ben Burt, the sound master of the Star Wars universe, sitting right behind me. That was very cool.
Fantastic!
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring up the sound because that was the thing that immediately registered to me. So, Kathy came out and spoke about it, and she sort of, it was funny because she introduced it and then she sort of mocked the special editions because she was sort of like, she was kind of like, well, George hasn't really been able to stop fiddling over there. And she was being playful and sort of, with an old friend, but sort of like rolling her eyes kind of at like, just leave it alone. And I wondered if in there, because she then talked about 2027 and the 50th anniversary and the big things that they're planning and they can't talk about them. I wonder if they're setting up to finally, do the thing that they should have done a long time ago, which is like, we should have these things, or they should do a big theatrical release of the originals,
Right.
And run them on film or run them digitally or whatever. We know they have them. We know they have the originals in perfect restored form. That's kind of an open secret over there. So it'd be interesting to see, but They ran this thing. I got a great picture. We can post it on the feed. Bart already has it. But they had the original audience rating for the what audience is appropriate for from from Great Britain back in the day. And the way the audience cheered, because obviously I'm the stranger in the strange land there, I did not recognize it. But the way the audience cheered, you could tell that there was this swell of nostalgia in the audience because people remembered what that rating used to look like when it come up before a film. And then it was a 77 print, so comes up bah, the fanfare Star
Right.
Wars, and then they just roll the title sequence. There's no A New Hope. There's no Episode 4 and any of that. And it's in stereo. I mean, I'm guessing it's stereo. It was stereo or mono, but all the sound is in the front of the theater. There's nothing to the side or behind you. It's all coming from the front. So all these nerds, when you read on the home theater forums and whatever, that are going nuts when they release the new version of Star Wars 4K on disc or on Disney Plus or whatever, and the sound mix is all wrong and the music is too loud, and this is like, you couldn't hear a fucking thing back then. You know, it was all mushed together. I mean, it's great because it's a relic of the period, but you don't the John Williams score does not stand out the way it does now to our modern ears in a 5.1 or better mix. It's in with all the music, you know, the laser blasts and the lightsabers and the TIE fighters going by. It's all in there, but the only time you hear the music in fanfare is the beginning. And then the very end, when there's no sound, when they get the medal ceremony, which is why I think those things have been printed on audiences so much, is because you heard those things above all the music. Whereas when you're in the Death Star trench battle, you can't hear a fucking thing. Not the music. Right. It's all just, you know, blended together again in a wonderful analog way. The first couple of reels of the print were pretty scratchy and pretty, I mean, again, in a charming analog way. There was nothing wrong, no color loss or anything, but you could tell you were watching a 35 millimeter print. But by the time you got to the Death Star, sort of middle of the movie, it was kind of perfect. Like, you didn't see any wear, scratches. And I'm just wondering, is that because they run those early reels more than anything else just to, you know, check what's going on or whatever, or, you know, when you're showing off a print, you run the first reel.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. I guess I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know.
A lot of times, no matter what they're showing, the very, very top is always like bad. Like, they run a little of it and then they go, okay, this is good, and then we'll wait and then we'll show the whole movie. But like, so that somehow the beginning is always sort of double or triple or quadruple run somehow. Yeah. I guess it'd be interesting to talk to an actual projectionist,
or just somebody at the BFI to find out the question of that. But I mean, it was stunning, and I realized how long it's been since I've seen that original that I grew up with on VHS, because I only ever saw the thing on VHS, and how imprinted it was on me, and how I knew every transition and the dialogue that was going to follow next, and just how useless and pointless the special edition is. It adds nothing. It only detracts. I was telling you, the visual effects now, the ones that were done in 1997, look worse than the stuff that was done in 1977. It's unjustifiable. There's just nothing. There's no reason for it to, and it completely slows down the pace of this otherwise breakneck, perfectly paced film that just sprints from beginning to end. And is perfect.
Have you watched the season 2 of the ILM documentary on Disney Plus? They sort of. And I can't remember which guy it was. Maybe it was John Berg. Sort of brag about like doing the special effects for the special edition, like on a Mac, basically, like on like simpler systems, which I guess at the time was exciting and whatever. But I did enjoy the documentary. But those special editions, Like
I did, but
because so much of it is like ships landing and taking off that we never cared. And
when the Millennium Falcon blasts out of Mos Eisley, it's just all of a sudden, it's just boom, it's out, launching out. You don't need to see it hover up in that weird top shot, and it just kills the freaking pacing.
And maybe there's a version where had he done it, that had that top shot somehow available to him in 1976, you know, for the release. Who knows? Maybe we'd be sitting there just going, "This is how it should be." But I don't understand why he thinks it's missing. That I get, and again, that's I don't know.
And fine if you do.
Yeah.
Fine if you do. Just give us the originals.
Yes.
As everybody has been saying for 30 years.
I'll be very curious with the 50th anniversary, just because I don't quite know how he does it without somehow admitting he's wrong. But
yeah. Or he just says Disney did it, and shrugs his shoulders. That's the way that's the get out of jail.
There's
free,
a lot of ways of doing it. I mean, you know, we certainly live in an era of I never said that, and you did, but no one cares and whatever. But I don't know, you know. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. They can get around it in a lot of different ways.
But had a great time. Anne something, the continuity lady, the script supervisor, was in the audience, which was fascinating. Her script was on display afterwards, but you needed like a separate ticket to go see it. So
Jesus,
we
okay.
didn't have it, so we didn't.
The
And there was a
BFI
queue and like
separate ticket. Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't go. Edgar Wright was attending in the audience. Kathy called him out during the proceedings, and we saw him, afterwards clearing out of the theater. I had previously had a group dinner with him at some point, and I sat next to him and had a fascinating conversation with him. But I didn't bug him because he was with a group, and I wasn't gonna go, hey, the guy was the guy and whatever. Right. And so, but it was cool to see him there, and I don't know, it was just it was great that the audience was it was a very good film audience where everybody was hyper respectful. There was no clapping every time a star came on or he said the line or whatever, but the audience went fucking nuts when Han just blasted Greedo under the table. That was the one moment the audience just went apeshit. And again, just great to see. And why would you mess with one of the greatest character introductions in the history of genre cinema? I don't know.
And by the way, not just messed repeatedly. There have now been
could not leave it alone.
4 versions.
Yeah. Could not leave it alone. But had a blast, had a great time, had a great dinner with a couple nerds afterwards. Talked all about prop stuff that we can't talk about now, but we'll be able to talk about in the coming months. And it was exciting. So as we're past the hour mark here, just as we bring it on home, my sort of the rest of 2025 is just hoping that nothing else comes up that I need. I really don't need anything to come up this year. Not only was it a busy year, I'm building this stupid house, and like I really do need to get that done because, as you know, you get into a project at that level, and look, I've spent a lot of money on props, and I can kind of do this is how we are. With the house, I have no idea where I am. I don't know whether I don't know whether I'm wealthy or poor or sort of middle class. I have no idea. So I need this house to be finished. I need to know where we are on the other side of that, and then I can kind of look at it and
go,
sort of go,
I need to work. I need to work till I'm 107 to pay for everything.
I either need to sell props or I can buy props again or somewhere in the middle, but I don't know what to do right now. So I need this house to be finished, and then we can re-explore. So I'm really hoping like an Indiana Jones jacket doesn't come up in the next 12 months.
Yes,
if it comes up in the next 18 months, fantastic. But 6 months, let's not do that. Let's not do that in 2025.
Spring,
okay, everybody.
2026 indie jacket.
Sure. Yeah. Great. Let's do it. Let's do it. But as always, there's a ton of auctions coming down the pike. Prop stores only had one of their 3 auctions this year, so we know they'll always have good stuff. Heritage, it sounds like, even from talking to Joe and Brian, we know everything that's in this auction, which we will begin sharing next week and beyond. It sounds like they have other stuff cooking this year as well.
Yeah, some really insane stuff. So hopefully
so
we'll get
stay tuned. And I will also say, just a little plug for our sponsor, Heritage, the kind of regularly scheduled comic art auction that's going on at the end of June. So it'll be about, I think that'll go on about a week after this episode airs. So go on and look. Dave, I don't know what you think. I mean, I've been following these pretty studiously now for a couple of years. I think this is one of the best auctions they've put on a while.
It's really jam-packed. I was trying to figure out the what and the why. Like, is this some, I don't know. I mean, this is a separate maybe conversation or topic. I was trying to figure out, like, is this people like getting out a little bit? Like, I don't know, what's going on with the American economy and whatnot. Like time to take my winnings and go home. I honestly don't know, but as it turned out, and it was funny as I was watching it come together, stuff just kept getting added to it. Like, you'd go, what a good auction. Oh, now there's a couple more pieces. Now that's coming. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So
wild. And just sort of a really wide band of stuff from all periods and superheroes and not superheroes. And I'm watching it with great interest. I mean, there's a ton of stuff in there that I want, but I have to be disciplined.
No, I know.
I have to pay off this ghost trap and get that into possession. That would be a good one to have in the house because the kids just love that thing. They ask me every time props come up in conversation or whatever. They're like, "When are we getting the ghost trap?" They're both like super into it, And only one of them has seen Ghostbusters, so I don't know. Go figure. Just the things that people family respond to. I'll take it.
liked seeing Ghostbusters. Liked seeing the movie.
Yes. My oldest, when I showed it to her, loved it. I think if you put her to it, she would say her two favorite like sort of dad movies so far are Indy. Raiders is like absolute number one, and I think Ghostbusters was a close number two so far. So, and that's having seen Batman and Star Wars and Back to the Future, and I've really run through the sort of top 20. No Jaws yet. I didn't.
Right.
No Jaws, no Alien, nothing too no blood, no exploding blood pack movies
Soon,
yet.
though. Soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're getting there. I told her we could do Jaws when she was 11 because I thought that was
That's a
was
good
all right.
time to make her scared
Yeah.
of the ocean. That seems good.
Yeah.
That seems perfect.
But I don't think she will be. She's demented in that way. Like she like watches these things and is just not afraid of them, just goes right to bed, doesn't have a night. Like, it's not that. It's just like, it's like, when can you process what you're seeing and we can talk about, it's not real. That's how they did this. And like, sharks don't really attack people and whatever. And ghosts don't exist. And, yeah. Yeah. I think I've told you this before, but like during COVID, we showed her Star Wars because it was Star Wars Day. It was May the 4th. And what else, the fuck else are you going to do during COVID? It's like, well, watch Star Wars. So we watched it together. And then afterwards, Caitlin asked her, well, what did you learn? And she said, Darth Vader put his hand on somebody's neck. That was her takeaway at age 4 and whatever of the first Star Wars. So I was like, great. Then maybe that's why now she feels no fear. Maybe
Right.
it just hardened her
He was
to all future
she just
phobias.
kind of gave her a nice scab, and she's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. On that fine note, we got a hell of a season, so please follow us on all social media at Props Podcast. Subscribe and follow us on YouTube. We're going to have a whole bunch of videos from Heritage with the new auction, and we'll have a live episode coming up as well. And email us somewhere.
Dreams are made of podcasts at gmail.com.
And try and get someone to watch the show or whatever. We need just more viewers would be good. So
Smash the like button, as everybody says. All the kids say on their podcast.
Oh, Jesus.
And please please tell a friend. Steal your partner, girlfriend, boyfriend's phone, whatever, and just subscribe. Download it. It's free. It doesn't harm them. That stuff all kind of helps us and helps make our case. And certainly, guys, if you've bought something. If you've become a collector, or you've bought something big at auction because you listen to the podcast, write us in, send us a note. That stuff really does actually make a difference because we do send that to Heritage and Prop Store and just say, hey, look, here's a real case scenario of somebody that's telling us they came in to collecting via the podcast, and actually, even though we have a modest audience, it actually is pretty dense with people that really matter to your business. So it helps us out. So please continue. We love reading all those stories.
Yeah.
You crazy
and
people
seeing pictures
that have,
seeing pictures. So thank you.
Yeah, gone off the deep end after listening to Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. So there we go. It's the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. That's some Stuff Dreams Are Made Of whiskey. We love you guys, and we'll see you again next week for more fun.